Hi, my name is Nicola Richardson. Welcome to my channel. I am the owner of Pink Vintage Jewellery. I've been making and selling jewellery on Etsy since 2017, so I've been on the platform 8 years. I've just hit 9,000 sales just a few weeks ago, so I wanted to do a what's and all video, talk about some of the good things, some of the bad things, and some of the horrible things that have happened to me over the years, and just be honest with people. So if you are thinking about starting a business on Etsy, it'll give you some insight as to what it's actually like to be a successful business. So first of all, let's talk about the good. I've got some little notes down here because I've got a terrible memory. I am 50 years old and brain fog is definitely happening in my house, and everything has to be written down at the minute. So let's talk about the good. I remember having a lovely afternoon 8 years ago in February. It was winter, and I just decided, I'm going to open up an Etsy shop today. And I remember choosing a name, and it was really easy to set up, and it was lovely choosing a name. And Etsy obviously doesn't let two shops have the same name. And I just remember spending a lovely few hours choosing a name, setting up my shop. It was the easiest thing to do. My husband came home from work and I said, I've set up an Etsy shop today. Job done. The cost was nothing at that point 8 years ago. I just charged, I think it's 20 cents, which is about 15p to list one item for 4 months. So from a cost point of view, that's brilliant. I didn't have any money to set up my business. I just I spent £100 on stock. I made jewellery, took terrible photographs, stuck it on Etsy and thought, I'll just see what happens. I've not lost any money. What can go wrong? So from a cost point of view, that it's brilliant. I think it's different now. I do think you have to set up, you have to pay some money to set up a shop, but I don't think it's very, very expensive. The other good thing is your customer reach is fantastic. I've sent my jewellery to Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Hawaii, Dubai, Alaska, Dominican Republic. It's been all over the world. I look at the address and I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing. I've never sent to this country before. So that's been really good. You reach people that you wouldn't necessarily find on Google that way through your own website. And another thing what I really like about Etsy is the seller protection program. Now this came about a couple of years ago. It was packaged with the star seller badge, and that's caused a lot of controversy because basically star seller badge it's nothing to do with being a good seller. It's actually Etsy's way of getting you to buy postage labels through them, which they've discounted. They've got a discount with, which they don't pass on to us. So I think that's how they can afford the seller protection program. But basically, something goes missing in the post, it doesn't get there. I tell people, put in a case with Etsy. Etsy opens the case and closes it, because I bought my shipping labels through Etsy. The customer gets a refund and I don't have to refund the customer back. So I think that's what they've done there with the seller protection program and with Star Seller. So at first it was a bit like it was forcing people to buy shipping labels. And when you're running your own business, you want to decide those kind of things yourself. But for me, I really like it because I have actually used the seller protection program. I probably use it 3 or 4 times every year, not often, but it means that I'm not having to send out another item, or I'm not having to refund that customer. So I really like that. That's probably the only change from Etsy in the last few years that I actually really like. So now let's talk about the bad. Right, I'm going to talk about this, and people will say, oh, they're not that bad, the fees, but actually what I pay in fees is ridiculous. And you'll see people out there saying the fees are great compared to Amazon, compared to this, compared to that. Well, do you know what? Don't work out your fees per item. Do it at the end of the month. So what I do every month, not every month, I must admit, I've been a bit slack recently, but last year, for example, I thought, how much am I paying in fees every month? So I worked out the percentage of my total sales minus my fees. And last year, when I did this for a couple of months, I was paying 17%. 17%. Now, it doesn't tell you that on Etsy. It says, oh, you pay 6.5% for this and so percent for that. But the problem with my shop is I cannot opt out on advertising. I was above the threshold. So they forced me to advertise. They advertise my products on Google without my consent, and if those items sell, I get charged a lot more money. So last month I thought I was going to do this video, so I thought I'm going to check my fees again. So I worked out the total cost of my sales, my fees and my advertising cost, put them together, and it was 18%. I paid 18% last month to Etsy for fees because I cannot opt out of advertising. So I don't know what it's like. Obviously, if you're a new seller, you're not gonna reach that threshold straight away, but that is a consideration if you do have a successful business. Because I was shocked when I found out it was 17%. So then at least I was adding 17% onto the cost price and raising my prices. And now when I'm working out my prices, I'm working on 18%. So it is a good idea to just check in with this every, at the end of your month when you do your books, work out what percentage are you actually paying to Etsy. Don't look at one particular item. Do it as a month. That's going to give you a much better grasp of what you are actually being charged, because I don't think they're very, very transparent with the fees, and there's a little bit of VAT on everything. Shipping, even shipping, they take a little bit off that, so you can't charge the customer exactly what it costs you because they're taking a little bit off as well. So they are a bit crafty and not as transparent as they could be. My other problem with Etsy, another bad thing with Etsy, is the lack of customer service. It is absolutely non-existent. They're just not there. And there must be about 2 people in an office, I think, somewhere in America, working to death, and they're not getting through all the problems. Basically, I came across a problem with my shop in November last year. I reached out to customer service. I said, you have been charging my customers the wrong price. They owe me 16 shipping labels. It cost about £80. They didn't charge the American customers the American price. They charged them the domestic price, the UK price, which meant that I was buying the shipping labels out of the profit for that item. I didn't notice. It had been going on for a little while. I found another YouTube video talking about it, and I was like, that's happening to me in my shop. When I investigated it, I had 16 shipping labels which had this same problem, and there's still some items in my shop now which still have the same problem. I can't solve this problem. I reached out to Etsy. They said, oh, your shipping profile's wrong. But that's a load of rubbish because it doesn't affect every single item on that shipping profile, so they're wrong. And then on chat they said to me, turn it off and on again. No, Etsy, that doesn't work, turning it off and on again. So then they said, don't worry, we're going to get someone to email you. Well, they emailed me just after Christmas. I think it was January. So this is from November. They emailed me in January, and they told me to turn it off and on again. International shipping. I was like, I've already told you this is not the problem. I replied. So that was the beginning of January. Now we're at the beginning of April. I am still waiting for them to reply. I am still waiting for them to solve this issue. So I've got to be extra vigilant when I get an international order that they have charged the right price. I'm sure some have slipped through the net when I've been busy. But then what I have been doing is when I do come across it, I reach out to chat and I make them buy the shipping label for me. I'm like, you're doing this wrong. You're not solving this problem for me. So therefore you can buy this shipping label for this customer, or I'm going to cancel the order. And they have actually been buying the shipping labels for me. But just sort it out. There's a problem, Etsy. Just be honest with it and sort it out. It's nothing to do with me, and I'll set it up because it's not every single listing. It's just a few listings. So that's one of the really, really bad things. And I'm not the first one to say that. Customer service are non-existent, and they give you advice which is incorrect. It's like they actually don't know Etsy. They don't know it. They've obviously not got a shop or anything. They don't know anything, how anything works, and they're trying to give advice. And half the time it's just completely crap what they're telling you to do. So that's really bad, but there's enough people on YouTube telling you that. Anyway, we'll move on. Now, let's get to the interesting part of the ugly side of Etsy. And I'm just going to talk to you about some customer experiences that I've had, because the ugly side of Etsy is the people who buy on it, unfortunately. Some of the people I've had to deal with, and some of the customers have just been out of this world. So yeah, let me talk to you about some of the incidents that I've had over the last 8 years. So one sticks out in particularly. It was, I think it's the beginning of the pandemic, so everyone was shopping online, obviously, so everyone was frantic because all the shops had just closed. And I remember this customer, it was Friday night at 10 o'clock, messaging me saying, can you make this tomorrow and get it out in the post for me? And stupid me, I'm there in bed, texting her back, going, no, it's not possible. Oh, no, will it arrive for Monday? I was like, this is Friday night. I said, no, sorry, this is not going to arrive up for Monday. It's just not possible, you know. I didn't have like next day delivery set up in the shop or anything like that, so I couldn't say to her, well, if you pay for next day delivery, I'll do my best, kind of thing. But to be honest, there were many orders before her, and I wasn't planning on working the Saturday morning anyway. So I was like, no, it's not possible, because I wanted the day off and I didn't want to work necessarily Saturday. So I said, no, it's not possible, and I left it at that. I woke up on Saturday morning. She'd only gone and ignored my advice, bought the bracelet anyway, and then, please send out as soon as possible. I need this for Monday. So I'm a bit pissed off. So I wake up Saturday morning, have my breakfast. I was going to spend some family time with my daughter, but she queue jumped basically. The orders that I had before, I didn't do. I did her order as a Saturday morning. I took it round to the post office. When I'm walking back from the post office about 11 o'clock, she puts another order in for exactly the same bracelet. And I messaged her saying, I've just made this bracelet and posted it for you. Why have you ordered another? Oh, I'm really sorry. Can you cancel that? So then I'm having to spend time cancelling and refunding the second bracelet. And I'm thinking, this is just a bit fishy. What the hell is going on here? Anyway, Monday came, obviously. Did it get there on time? No. Did it, Ek? No, it didn't get there on time. When it did eventually get there, she messages me, I want to return this bracelet. It didn't get here on time. And I bought another one from another customer, from another Etsy seller, and it did get there on time. And my friends decided to keep that one. So I was like, you are joking. I couldn't believe it. Not only has she wasted my time, but she's taken my weekend up and all this faffing about. And she'd ordered more than one thing. She'd ordered multiple items from different sellers. And whichever arrived on the Monday, she was going to keep it with a view of always returning the others. Well, how shitty is that when you're making everything by hand? So I was absolutely livid, but I kept my cool. I was like, right. So I said, yeah, return it to me. I gave my address. And then when it got here, I refunded it. And then I sent her a message and I said, please be mindful of people's time in the future, because she's wasted my time. And she gave me a massive load of abuse. Blah, 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 blah. I can't believe you've been so unkind to me, this, that and the other, and your bracelet, you didn't make that bracelet on the Saturday and post it like you said. It took days to come. Bearing in mind it's a pandemic and Royal Mail have run off the feet because there's no shops open, and so their jobs have gone through the roof. She was really, really, really rude. And I just thought, do you know what? That is a lesson learned to me. Do not be engaging with daft people like that at 10 o'clock on a Friday bloody night. What are you thinking? So it was a good lesson for me, because after that, I put auto reply on. My shop goes on auto reply now, Friday, 4 o'clock, and I do not look at any messages over the weekend, and it comes off at Monday, 9 a.m. And because I've had my weekends ruined by messages, I've had my weekends ruined by 1-star reviews, and I just will not do it anymore. I will protect my family time really, severely. So I do not tolerate this kind of shenanigans anymore. So yeah, that's just one example, but there has been many, many, many more. Another group of people I can't stand on Etsy are the last minute shoppers. They're just frantic. They need something 2 days time, and what I've started to do now, I've put priority and next day delivery on my shop, and you've got to pay £10 for it. And anybody who says please post as soon as possible, I just completely ignore them now. Nobody does any queue jumping. You wait the allocated time. If people say to me, will this arrive on time? I'll say no, and I'll cancel the order and refund them. Last minute shoppers are a nightmare. and I just don't want them. I'd rather have people who are organised, buying a present with a couple of weeks notice, because ultimately if it doesn't get there on time, it's your fault, and it's not your fault as an Etsy seller. You've done the best you can. You don't work for the bloody mail service. So yeah, last minute shoppers I can't stand, and I will try and avoid them at all costs. Another incidents are the 1-star reviews, what are not your fault. I had a customer from America who gave me a 3-star review because the bracelet I made for them didn't fit her granddaughter. Well, shock horror, I've never met your granddaughter. I don't know what size she will be, but you might know what size she might need. And everything is made to order. I've got 4 different sizes in my shop. So you have got to have a bit of a considered approach at the checkout. You've got to think, what size? What size shall I order for my granddaughter, I wonder? And you don't know, you could even get a measurement, couldn't you? You could be sneaky and get a measurement so you've got the right perfect fit. But because she didn't consider this and she ordered something too small, that was my fault. So the people like that really piss you off. You just feel like banging your head against the wall. You know, I made you this because you told me the size to make. So yeah, that's the worst things. I'm sure I've got more and more stories to tell you. Oh yeah, there's another woman who asked me for a custom order recently. Yeah, this was funny. And my auto reply came on because she was American. Obviously, I'm in the UK. My auto reply came on and she was really pissed off with it. She left me a bit of a snotty message. Well, I hope you reply because this is within your working time. So it was the weekend and I didn't reply. And I on the Monday, I said, oh, I am actually based in the UK. I left it at that. And then about a week later, she messaged me again. Well, are you going to answer me about my custom order request? And I was like, straight away, I knew I wasn't going to work with her. I was like, you don't be rude to somebody when you're asking them to do you a favour. The last thing you do is be rude to somebody. So I actually just said to her, no, I'm really busy to do custom orders. Sorry, I'm too busy. And then she messaged me back with a ton of abuse. Your customer service is shocking, blah, 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 blah. And I just said, look, love, I didn't want to work with you from the minute you sent that snotty message. Other Etsy sellers might not mind being spoken to like that. I do. Please go find someone else. And I think you just got to be firm with people. You don't talk to people like that. If you want someone to do you a favour, you're really nice about it. And you say, please and thank you, I really appreciate it. But coming over and being all really snotty and shitty is not the way to do it. I'm actually dealing with an incident this week, actually, from a lady who she contacted me. My friend's brought me this bracelet and it's tarnished really bad. Can I ask you what your materials are? I said, it's definitely sterling silver. All my materials are sterling silver. That bracelet, 100% sterling silver. Has it been exposed to anything? Chemicals, hot tubs, things like that? No, I've only worn it for a couple of hours, just normal wear and tear. So I'm a bit suspicious. Right, this is making me feel a little bit, yeah, this is not quite right. Then she asked me, do you mind if I send it to you to have a look at? I thought, well, what's the point of me having a look at it, really? I don't know what I can do. It is sterling silver. Anyway, it turned up this week. It's absolutely destroyed, is this bracelet. God knows what it looks like she's done Tough Mudder in it. It's absolutely black and sludgy and really, really, really gross. And I suspect she's been in a hot tub, and hot tubs are terrible. If you don't know this, hot tubs are the worst thing you can do for sterling silver. And the black, and literally you can see it happening instantly. I went on holiday with my family 2 summers ago, and it happened to my niece in the hot tub. One of her sterling silver beaded bracelets, blackened, just literally within 5 seconds. So I'm so lost now. What do I do? I obviously know this customer's telling me fibs. And I emailed her and I said, listen, unless you're honest with me and tell me what chemical it's come into contact with, I don't know how to reverse it or how I can improve it. But why is this my problem? She's not followed the care advice that I gave her. There's a little card in there saying avoid chemicals, and she's not done that, and she's ruined the bracelet. But for some reason, it's my problem to solve. So I'm in the middle of dealing with that at the moment. So yeah, it's not all great. But I hope that gives you some, just some food for thought, really. And just the kind of people that you have to deal with. It's not always, it's not always fabulous, but you know, it has given me some laughs over the years, and yeah, and it has given me some money. So I've turned my side hustle into my main job, but because of Etsy, and I will always appreciate that, but it's not always been smooth sailing. Anyway, I hope that's given you a few laughs, and I'll see you on the next video. Okay, love, bye.